Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's actually been a while since I shot, and I felt like it was time to make another video. This time I wanted to talk a bit about my motivation for why I became a lawyer. There's been quite a few people who have been messaging me saying, hey, it's cool that you're shooting these videos. I want to be a lawyer someday, and giving me some, insight feedback in terms of what their motivations are for wanting to become an attorney, what type of law they want to practice and everything. And I think that's really cool. You probably already know by now, but I practice criminal defense and immigration law. I'm in private practice. I run my own practice. It's me. I have Hassel, my receptionist. Michelle is our graduate law clerk, and Patty is my executive assistant. So we're a team of four. We do great work in the community. I love what I do. Very passionate about what I do. I'm going into my 11th year as an attorney, so I've been at it for a while and have actually had my practice for a majority of that time. So basically, I started my practice in March of 2010. So we're coming up on another anniversary soon. I'd like to throw maybe a little party or a little, some type of little function. Got to celebrate those types of things. It's very important. It's not a given that you will continue to be in business. We live and work. Well, I live and work in downtown San Diego, and you look down the street left and right, and there are businesses closing, especially Horton Plaza at the mall. You see all these, major stores that if somebody would have asked me, if I saw these stores shutting down, I never would have thought that, some years ago. Now, with the emergence of Amazon and everything and online shopping, then yeah, you could probably see the writing on the wall, but it just is wildly fascinating to see some of these, big heavy hitter names in retail, no longer exist. And so in that sense, I'm grateful every day to continue to be in business, to continue to have employees, and to continue to serve my community. So with that said, my three primary motivations for becoming an attorney, I was working as a file clerk at a couple of different law firms here in San Diego, some pretty prestigious law firms, and I took that job very seriously. I understood the importance of, organization and a, law firm, a partner, attorney, needing to be able to find the documents and them needing to be where they would expect them to be. It's important when you're going to take a call with opposing counsel, or you're going to court, or you're meeting with a client, that that your settlement agreement is in the file, or that that this particular copy of a motion or your notes or your research is in the file. And so I took that job really seriously, and just kind of being in that environment, I saw that I was working amongst very smart and brilliant people, but I didn't really think that anything that they were doing was beyond me. And so I started to have these thoughts about the possibility of becoming an attorney someday. And at the same time, I was actually taking a class called Blacks in the Justice System at San Diego State. So I went to San Diego State, and I was a Spanish literature undergrad, and I minored in Africana Studies. And so in taking that class, I was able to see how unfortunately, the laws had been manipulated over time to continue to oppress my people. And so in a sort of desire to do my part to make sure that these injustices no longer occurred or would not occur again, I had this desire to go into law. And so there was sort of that angle, and then I had the other side, which were three reasons. And one was intellectual stimulation. I crave intellectual stimulation. It's important to me. I'm reading books constantly, trying to grow, evolve, and develop. And I knew that within the law, there would always be an opportunity for me to grow intellectually. And number two had to do with the honor and prestige that came along with being an attorney. That's one of those professions that parents will say, well, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, you can be whatever you want. It's still, despite all the shark jokes, it's a position that is very respected. And I definitely value being somebody who is a trusted advocate in the community, somebody who my peers can call when they're in some sort of a legal jam or have a legal question. I've represented people facing life in prison. There's a very short list of people you can call in that situation, and so I feel quite privileged to be on that short list for many people. And then lastly, just financially being able to provide for my future family. I mean, I don't have any children yet. I'm not married, but I plan to someday, and it was very important for me to be able to serve in that provider role, be in a situation where, my future wife wouldn't have to work if that were our decision. And so to set myself up in a position financially to provide, that was very important to me. So those were three primary reasons why I became an attorney. In terms of the type of law that I practice, I was an intern at the DA's office during law school. That's another story, but part of my 10-year plan was going to be a DA for a few years and get trial experience and do that whole thing. I, based on graduating in 2008, the government shut down, basically threw my plans out of the window, and so I didn't end up doing that. But I had experience within criminal law. So as a second-year law student, I tried my first trial. I had my first felony jury trial, and then I had a second trial while I was a graduate law clerk. And I had a number of preliminary hearings. So I had a whole, whole lot of courtroom experience by the time I left the district attorney's office. And then on top of that, I did trial team as well. So I really was, pushing towards becoming a trial lawyer. And so since I, had functioned within the criminal law so long, doing criminal defense seemed like a natural transition. And then on the immigration side, that came as a recommendation from a friend. So when you're actually in law school, you take the core classes that everybody takes. You take contracts, property, constitutional law, criminal law, and I might be missing property if I didn't already mention that. But you take those core classes, and then from there you kind of get to take whatever you want. You can take employment law, you can take employment discrimination, you can take criminal procedure, you can take tax, you can take business organizations, corporations. You can take all these different sort of elective classes that ideally are geared towards the type of law that you want to practice. And so I say that to say you don't need to know what type of law you want to practice right now. In fact, your mind will probably change, many times. My mind changed all kinds of times before I finally settled upon, what it was that I wanted to do. But either way, I think, being an attorney is great. It's a wonderful profession. It certainly has its shortcomings. I'll probably shoot another video on, some of those shortcomings. I'm a huge advocate for mental and physical and emotional wellness. So it is very much important that, we as lawyers take care of ourselves, and even, going into the profession, establishing those habits early on is vital. Taking care of yourself by going to the gym, eating right, seeing a therapist, journaling, holding on to important friendships and family, and having a hobby, having a release. All those different types of things are vital and crucial to maintaining your sanity amongst all the stress of being an attorney. But yeah, that's about it. I think that gives you some insight on my reasoning for becoming an attorney, how I got into the areas of law that I did. And so, yeah, hopefully that's some useful information to you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, so feel free to comment below with any questions about the path to becoming an attorney, and any other questions you might have about the profession. If you have not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, like it, and if you think it's worthwhile for somebody else, please share it. But that's going to be it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.